2nd Esdras 6:9, and it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." So this is a very powerful verse saying that, Esau is the end of the world. So let's try and learn a little bit why it might be saying this. And we're going to read a little bit of the Bible. So we're in Genesis 25, and it's talking about, just so you know where we are in this genealogy, in case you're not familiar with the Bible. We're dealing with Isaac and his wife Rebecca, and Isaac is the son of Abraham. So this is where we are in the family tree. Okay, and it's speaking about Rebecca, and she has twins in her womb. Twins in her womb. Again, it says, "And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord." So she was asking, is this normal? What's going on? And it wasn't normal. And she got this reply, "Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger." So now we're starting to get an idea, maybe, of why we have this prophecy of this verse where it's saying Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. You can see maybe already when it's speaking here about two nations are in thy womb, but more importantly where it says two manner of people. So it says two different manners of people. That's important. Okay, let's carry on. It says, "And when the days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau." Okay, so he was hairy, came out hairy. "And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob." Okay, so Jacob means to hold onto the heel. That's why he's called Jacob. Also has a meaning like of supplanter. And now we're going to try and learn a bit more about Esau. So we see here that Esau was a cunning hunter. And this is the story of Esau selling his birthright. So what happened was Esau was hungry and starving, coming in from the field. And Jacob had made some red pottage. And Esau asked for the pottage. And then Jacob said, "Sell me thy birthright." And then we find out that Esau was willing to sell his birthright for this red pottage. And that's why his name was changed and became known as Edom. So Edom means red. So his name was changed to Edom, but not because, remember it said here that Esau came out red or ruddy. That's not why he's called Edom. It's actually because of this sod pottage that was red, and that's why his name was called Edom. So if we look at the genealogy, it says here, look, the Edomites. So you must remember that the Esau is known as the Edomites. So Esau despised his birthright and sold it for food. So that gives us another kind of idea about this verse, why Esau is the end of the world, because he despised his birthright and he was he gave over to the hunger, and he wasn't able to kind of endure or face that hunger. He was willing to sell his birthright just to satisfy that need for food. Let's carry on and see, because we'll learn a bit more about Esau. Now in the next verse, Genesis 26, I just want to show you this part where it says that Esau, he actually married into the line of the Hittites, and Hittites are of Canaan, of Ham. So Esau is actually marrying into the line of Ham. So he's not staying in the line of Shem. He's marrying outside of the line of Shem, marrying into Ham, which is an interesting detail to think about. And it says it brought grief to his parents. So these daughters of the Hittites brought grief, which is quite interesting. Now I kind of want to try and speak about the hatred between Esau and Jacob. So there's actually another story where Jacob supplants his brother, not just with the birthright but also with the blessing. You can see how it's talking about Esau losing his blessing. Now if you don't know these stories, you can read these stories, because I'm not covering all the details, but I just want to kind of show you about the hatred. And now his Esau's father tells him about Jacob taking his blessing. And now Esau says, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. You see, now Jacob also means to supplant. So Esau saying he supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. You see the nature of Esau. He's saying that Jacob took away his birthright. He's not taking any responsibility that, he sold it. So that's interesting. And behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? So now we find out the blessing for Esau. And it's quite an important detail, because he's still going to have a blessing like receiving the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven, but it's going to be by the sword. So Esau's going to live by the sword, but it also says you're going to serve your brother. And this kind of fulfills the prophecy that we've already looked at. Remember how it spoke about this part here where it said, 2 nations are in thy womb, but one will be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. See that prophecy? So Esau came out first, so he's actually the older, but they said that the elder will serve the younger. So this is one of those things where we can see that actually Jacob kind of dealing subtly with his brother and supplanting him is actually the will of God, because it's already been prophesied that this is going to happen. But this is very important to get the idea that Esau is going to live by the sword. Everything that he gets is going to be through, you could say, like by violence and aggression, and he's a cunning hunter. But this is the part I wanted to get to, where it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So now we can see that murderous intent towards his brother. Now what we learn in the Bible is that this hatred became perpetual, and it didn't just stay with Esau, it actually carried on with his descendants. And then when we follow the Bible story, we see that the Edomites continue to hold on to this hatred. And we have stories like when Moses is coming out of Egypt during the Exodus with the Israelites, and the Israelites want to pass through the land of Edom. They won't do anything kind to their brother, they won't let them pass through. So we can kind of see that hatred still there. And actually that's a good chance to just speak about this other thing that I want to speak about, which is the land of Edom. Because I saw some scholars have been looking at this and found these details, and I thought it was very fascinating that they found this connection, because we've got this lake in Africa known as Zaire, the region of Zaire. So the Congo was formerly known as the Kingdom of Zaire. Let me see if I've got a picture of it. Okay, so this is the Kingdom of Zaire. Now the fascinating part is that in the Bible we have this region, this biblical location spelled S-E-I-R, but you might pronounce that like Seir. You see it here, the pronunciation, Seir, and that's very, very similar to Zaire. So this could be the biblical land of Seir, and it's very important because we learn that Esau dwelt in Mount Seir, and Esau is Edom. We've spoken about that. And here, look, it says, and Jacob sent message before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. So the land of Seir is the land of Edom. So this is really, really fascinating, because we potentially have a location for Edom, where the Edomites were living. But then you can see this detail here that the cartographer has put Agag. So that's very interesting why he's put Agag in this region, because Agag's also in the Bible. Let's see if I've got that verse. Here, 1 Samuel 15:8. He took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. Now Agag is an Amalekite, and Amalek is a descendant of Esau, okay? So this is Edomites. So Agag is an Edomite. Can you see how that kind of supports those details that Agag is an Edomite, and the Bible is telling us that the Edomites dwelt in the land of Seir. So this actually supports Seir, which is fascinating. And we're going to, we can use this now to kind of expand on our picture that we've been speaking about already, about where were these sons, like Elam and Ashur, and the descendants of Shem. And now we can see other descendants of Shem in the land of Arphaxad, in this region. So we're slowly getting a better idea of this land of Arphaxad, because we've been speaking about the Ur of the Chaldees in this region, and maybe Edessa as well, the kingdom of Edessa. And now we're also seeing other descendants of Arphaxad here in this region. So we're slowly getting, I think, a better picture of Arphaxad. Was there anything else I wanted to share with you in this video? So we've been speaking about this prophecy. I think we're starting to get a better idea of why it says this. But just in case you're wondering, if you're new to the Bible, and you might be asking, well, how come Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth? Because he also, he wasn't innocent in the story. He acted subtly with his brother, and he supplanted him 2 times. So why is he the beginning of it? So I just want to share with you this final story of the Bible, because this is also very important. Where's my verse? Yeah, it's this one. Okay, this is very important for Jacob. This is Genesis 32. Let me just check so I can give you the right. Yeah, Genesis 32. Okay, and it says, "And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him," so the angel couldn't prevail, because you learn out it's not actually a man who's wrestling against an angel. "He touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint." So he's doing him a serious injury as he wrestled with him. "And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." So Jacob is actually wrestling with an angel, and he's actually prevailing, or the angel can't prevail against him, and Jacob won't let him go. So the angel then touches his thigh and to try to give him a serious injury, to get him to stop, to let go, but he won't let go until he gets a blessing. "And he said," now that angel speaking, "and he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob." So this is quite a powerful part. If we actually, when you read it in English, you maybe don't get the picture. So remember, what Jacob is saying is that I'm the grabber of the heel, or I'm a supplanter. So he's actually saying who he is. He's being honest. I am a supplanter. So it's actually a very important detail there. Now the angel says, "And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." So you can see now Jacob's name gets changed, and this is very important for this verse, because let's just look to see what Israel means. Let's see if I have it here, just to get a bit of an idea. Okay, so what we get from Israel is to rule, contend, have power, prevail over. So this is probably the most important part, maybe, is to prevail. So Jacob can rule because he has power and he can prevail. That's why why it says Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, because Jacob can prevail and he has power to rule, where Esau can't prevail because he lacks that power. And it kind of makes sense when we think about the story of him selling his birthright for food, to satisfy that hunger, because he can't prevail, he can't face that adversity. But when we see in the descendants of Jacob, they can face that adversity and they can overcome.